Hello, Music Multiverse listeners. Welcome back to Beyond Your Radio album review, Saturdays, episode 50 of 2025. Um, as you know, we're still reviewing, despite the pretty much closed up for the shop album of the years that are going on. But I'll let you in on a little secret here. All right. We pretty much hold off to the last goddamn minute, just in case, just in case. And a couple just in cases here and there to this week,
Yeah.
prior week, who knows? By now, if you haven't realized it, I'm not like the other YouTube channels that you watch. The reviews are an extension of beyondyourradio.com. So there's three there that's all written. We're going to talk about. But here on the YouTube version, you can be damned sure that co-host Deb Armitage Hicks Maloney is
Yeah.
going to do her best to chime in and keep my bloviated opinion in check. Um, not only that, we had three or more albums or two sometimes when we're lazy. And
Yeah.
this time we're still not lazy when we should have been. There's three extras, and today's three are interesting to say the least. That'll add a little bit more discussion to this. Again, you're in the right place for new music reviews. There's no ass kissing, and honest listening. So it's not like a one play and done. Although the one album this
Mm.
week, I remembered listening to it earlier, and then I listened to it maybe halfway again to each, and just
Oh,
cemented my position.
okay, got
um,
it. All right. I might know what you're talking about, but maybe
yeah,
not.
and I
Okay.
promise there's always something new that's different, that's not in the standard class of album reviews, and I'll get to why that is. We're always looking for a new subscriber or two. Yeah, we're just doing this slowly. By the time I'm 65, maybe we'll be monetized. We need you though to really do more than that. Is really to give me your opinion, talk about it. I love the banter. I love to be kept up all night and thinking about that rather than thinking about real work. So if you could do that, comment please. And of course, if you could spread your love for us to other collectors in the field of social media, well, we'd send you a check or two. Yeah, check mark. I don't, So
I'm waiting
yes,
for
our
mine.
yes, send it. Yeah, now we're sending text to you. I will buy you. Um, but yes, the our top 25 of 25 is already going daily, one by one. Right, I think at 19 yesterday. But that doesn't mean we're still not listening to new albums that were released this weekend or weekends before. Dedicated, yes. Stupid, maybe. And I'm sure uh, a lot of people have moved on from 2025 despite not having listened to even a quarter of the albums that come out. So I'm serious. I'm gonna get bent here for a moment because this is the way it should be. I have watched and read nearly every major and minor publication. And a ton of YouTube channels, some that claim big respect, and others that are just exactly what they are, which is beautiful in my opinion. Now, whether I agree with their picks or their comments means it's irrelevant. Whether they are definitely just falling in line with others or not, I don't care. Are they truly are a magnificent music listener with a perfect ear and way of articulating why an album was what it was? Well, damn, that's awesome. I remain confident that I have honestly and stubbornly and idiotically listened to more albums than anyone on the planet that has any of these shows for sure.
I
Okay,
agree.
why? Because they said so. You know, they pretty much said, "Yeah, I listened to 230." Well, got you smoked. I don't right, and they pick purposely. Where I pick from popular to almost
Mhm.
completely wildly unknown and impossible to even assume they might ever be heard by more than I actually one of the albums this year. I'm pretty sure when I went to my digital listening thing, is seven listeners, seven, and I was probably two or maybe
And
all
my
seven
cat.
for Christ's sake. Who
My
knows, right?
cat was number
Yeah.
three.
I tap all genres. They don't. That's classical music, ambient, minimalism. I'm not saying I go overboard on some of those. Okay, again, I'm going to give you this number, and you're gonna go. It's impossible. That is correct. All right. As of today, I'm at 1,016 albums that are on my list, including maybe 75 reissues. Not that I listened to all 75 reissues, but that's what I didn't quantify. There's no marker that says that on my spreadsheet. You have my spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Um, So I can't even, but I'm going to quantify that next year. I'm going to put that marker. That way I know.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the way it's going to go. So if you divide that by Fridays, that's 19 and a half albums every Friday. Okay.
Yeah.
And we all know that December doesn't happen that way.
Mm-hmm.
December, you get one or two.
Yeah. So yeah.
November, holidays, that stuff. So, and by most cases, that if you ask the internet how many there are, it's going to tell
Yeah.
you there's only 735 major standard releases in the albums in the year. I don't know how they quantify that, but that's what AI says.
Okay. So
I
the word
mhm.
major probably
I'm
is
assuming that says
filtering
that's a
something.
major label or an
Hmm.
artist or something like that. When it's
Understood. Makes
nearly
sense.
2,000 is really more
Oh
accurate.
my God.
I don't know how you feel, but that's a disturbing accountability that makes one sense probably via major record label or stardom, which you don't have starting off when you become, when you release your first album. So
Yeah.
that's weird. So
Okay.
I'm a purist. I'm beginning to doubt the purity of most integral review systems.
Okay.
Uh, I'm one individual. These people should have an army. And
Yeah.
and I probably that's why I don't get asked to be in any of these because they already know I'm already listening to too much crap, and I'm not centrifuged into one particular genre. Not that there's anything wrong with that. If that's actually those people are more successful than I am.
Yeah. And
I'm
that
going to
makes sense,
always be me, and whether that's popular or not, screw it. I don't care. These reviews remain
right?
untainted. All
Yeah.
right. So this weekend we have an extremely engrossing album that comes from a solo artist that I believe truly encapsulates exactly what I just stated above from that standard release and the power and differential in being untethered to such things. And it's a fabulous untethering. Then it's definitely one that would fit in these standard releases for sure. And always a reliable feature in the music multiverse, even though it's not always my genre of ever loving choice. Finally, we step into an indie like Americana singer songwriter that teeters and seesaws in between the lines of dream pop and alternative folk experience with a charming accessibility, but also a quirk here and there that keeps the audience on its toes. Where do we start? Let's start with
Mm.
Orphic by Ed Harcourt. Let's start up with the title, which I completely love. Orphic, meaning something mystical, profound, or related to a hidden wisdom,
Mm.
often involving ascetic practices, reincarnation, and the worship of Dionysus. Well, that's one of my favorite words in the entire language system, especially when it's being muttered by Ed Kowalczyk of Live. But that's a different story altogether. Profundity, baby. Yeah, I'm always a sucker for the artists who are going to be deeper, richer, thicker in their mindset and quasi deliberate in their attempt to bring some sort of meaning to their musical position. All right. Yeah. Sometimes I don't want to be entertained. I want to be profoundly disturbed and huddled in a corner, sucking my thumb. No, okay.
My gosh.
Yeah, I realize that this comes sometimes at the sacrifice of the standard of releases or the recording buying oblivion being set aside. That's right, Creed like entertainment and suck down that leads to incredible fame and fortune. Not that there's anything wrong with Creed. Ed Harcourt is an artist, and I'm not sure that he has ever had that in mind of being multi successful.
Mm.
Integrity and professional pouring out of per mm, what it would be a protruding position, maybe,
Oh, that's a
sounded
word.
and been in his music muse and mantra, which continues to make him an often delight and retreat from the overall crushing listening habits that I endure, Deb endures, due to, well, my musical obsession. So Orphic has the most familiarity and sound that I've experienced on a hardcore recording, and honestly, he's normally his own man. And when I say this, I'm talking about the immediate connection to other music artists. And this album has it in spades, which I don't think it's intentional. I just think it's the depth and the people that it sounds like.
Hmm.
Let me tell you what I mean here, because it's weird, right? So the first track, Under the Still and Lonely Sky. Well, there's a mouthful at the beginning of a album. It's Coldplay, early
Mhm.
Coldplay. It's coveted melody and vocal position that I have always felt was the strength of Chris Martin and his band.
Yes.
And then they
Mhm.
flushed that down the toilet forever.
Yeah,
Um,
we talked about that, didn't
yeah,
we?
right. Harcourt's position there, it's just it's truth. It's not bloviated. Harcourt's position always far from the pop culture. He kind of leans heavily on the simplicity of melody, mood, and underlying effective, like a darker position maybe. And this entire record has a wonderful bitter coolness that drifts kind of on and through, and we'll know why we're talking about through in a minute, on Orphic. By the light of the silver morning feels like Elbow, Guy Garvey.
Mm.
Um, and I'm falling harder for the spell of this whole thing by the time this is going on because I'm succumbed to that beautiful hidden wisdom, but I'm still trepid as before Hardcore's done this, and I've had like a few misses and things in here where I don't connect, but I haven't felt that way in this. However, what comes next set this record up completely for an incredible continued listen, and that's A Ghost Walked Through Me.
I was standing by the riverside where the water weaves so calm. A little bird with scarlet feathers flew down on my palm, and a ghost walked right to, a ghost walked right to me.
And that puts the haunt on, and from there and that moment on, the album never lets go, finding a combination of both of these Coldplay and Elbow kind of situations, and harvesting a lot more in their power, the incredibility to deliver a storyline that's a little bit obtuse. And yes, I do believe that he's kind of still in the puppet asylum, which
Mm.
was the horror record he did for motion pictures. So, and so there I am. I'm sitting there, and it's just this definite tones, these pickings. There's not. I mean, there's no huge orchestra,
Mm.
no ridiculum going on. It's his vocal, and then whether he chooses piano, a creepy carnival organ, or
Yes.
whatever. Um, damn.
Well, Orphic is just it's a version of Orpheus, who
Oh
was a
yes, yes, yes,
master
yeah.
musician, right?
Yep, yep.
So, and he was a master musician, but then Orphic became that word that described Orpheus being a master musician, but was mysterious. So I thought that was really cool. I love Greek and Latin mythology, so that's really cool. He has an aristocratic background. He grew up in an English manor in East Sussex. So I'm sure that he was listening to a lot of different kind of music growing up. I would assume in that,
Did he have his own
so
jester?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Did you know that he was a trained chef? He's a trained
Hmm.
chef. Yes, and a beekeeper.
That I didn't know.
Okay, now that takes some kind of strength
Yes.
because I get a bee around me, the show goes down if
Oh
there's
no,
one in
that
my
that shit's
house.
dying right at my heels. That's
Now, his debut album,
Mhm.
he played on a Wurlitzer organ, and we are from West New York, and the Wurlitzer was made here in Western New York, so we always like to hear stories about the Wurlitzer. Um, his contemporary influences GNR, you got Guns N' Roses and Nirvana in there, but it's so funny because you don't really, I mean, that's not what he does, but he
No.
might have little sprinkles of something here or there, but that's not what he does. Um, when I listened to these albums, it was actually in the order that you first put it on the list. So
Okay.
that's some of my notes come from that. So I won't really talk about the specifics, but when I got to this album, I felt like this was another album out of a few this week that were really more like exploring life's complexities and not just being, like the Ramones and I want to be sedated kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's more there. It's
Mhm.
deeper. And when you said the thing about Puppet Asylum, you
Mhm.
know, the one song that came to mind for me was Embers of My Dying Flame.
Oh,
I read a little bit about it and it was definitely it's like a David Lynch inspiration. So if you're going to be watching a Twin Peaks or something like that, you kind of feel like there's something else going on that's going to maybe come out and go boo.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It almost has that conjuring thing,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
right? But it grounded, not in, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah.
mean, obviously deeper. And to make it the point that you're saying that there's a little bit of different influences in different songs that you can hear, like the Coldplay. I won't go back to the songs that you've already mentioned, but I felt like a 50s jangly feel in Baby's Gone to Seed. I like that. And I felt a little bit of Honey Drippers and Patron Saint of the Restless Dreams. I I got some kind of, and then I would listen to it again and I go, I'm only hearing it a little bit, but it did catch my attention. And I liked how they all sound like Ed Harcourt, these songs, but they're not samey.
No, and he actually, you do have to realize a couple of times in there that he has two different vocal ranges.
Yes,
Yeah, I didn't call it, wasn't pitch. What was the word I was using when we were
his
talking about?
tone, maybe.
Yeah, the tone.
Um,
Yeah, he had it. Yeah, he made,
yeah, because I actually was.
and I like the second tone better, the deeper tone.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I was actually looking to see like is there
Oh
somebody
yeah, was there
else?
another artist?
Yeah.
Well, we'll get to that, won't we?
But I find that's interesting. So all in all, I mean, we talked about album of the year and things like that, and all the other albums of the year that are up, for that coveted prize on our show. Um, I don't feel that that's really where that went for me. Um, and however, I just recommended it to a friend yesterday that was going on a walk, and she said she enjoyed it. And she's not a music connoisseur of any
Right.
sorts, but it was something. If you need to go for a walk and get your mind off of things, it's going to keep you probably paying attention.
Yeah, that's the goal, right? That if you're going to be
Yeah.
profound, you better keep my attention and not use childish words or cliches.
Yes.
And he's nowhere near there. It's something about an owl at the end of a branch, right? In one of the
Yeah.
songs, and
Yeah.
either the second song, maybe. Yeah, just really cool stuff. I could continue to gush because the next song, "Oh Gentle Death," is another
Mhm.
incredibly well positioned, balanced, and extremely haunting miracle of songwriting that is Ed Harcourt with the shades of the prior soundtrack work that was Puppet Asylum. This is one of the most emotive recordings of 2025 that doesn't leave lyric and melody and musicality unmatched. That sometimes happens. They're paying too much attention to the words and they don't make it match. Uh, it wants for nothing other than honest attention and an atmospheric
Yeah.
realization. The voice of Ed Harcourt is honest and determined to be like your ghostly guide and reason. He kind of using a delicate, soft approach wound into effects of piano, acoustical picking, and that beckoning of the listener to come a little bit closer.
There
This
you
is
go.
an intimate recording, and it even showcases some tones that we sometimes forget Art Harcourt possesses.
Mm,
Perhaps mercurial, like he states.
mm,
Definitely, of course. This is one of the best records of Harcourt's career, in my opinion. Don't get me wrong, I've been a fan for years, and there's all kinds of different depths and exposures that he takes on. This is my favorite of all time, I think I would say. Gorgeous album, start to finish. Yeah, it'll stop that noise ears of the standards we just talked about at the beginning.
yeah.
Now we're going to get to one of those standards. Although by the cover, you wouldn't know.
I know.
Right? So this is the
Yeah.
Zach Brown band, Love and Fear. There are things you know you're going to get with a Zach Brown and his band album. And then there are the things you're not quite certain. And they're usually every album. There's always a something, whether it's a crushing ballad or a whimsical number that's either a little light and fuzzy or darn right foot stomping hilarity, or at least it attempts to be, in my opinion. There's two schools of thought on these kind of uncertainties. All right. Number one, you anxiously await them and you want to devour them. Two, you wish he'd never really do them because it ruins the flow or position of the musicality he represents, or just darn right, doesn't fit the album, making it an outlier in the mix, and you're kind of disturbed by it. I don't know where I am in that regard. Most of the time, I'm at the position of I wish he wouldn't do it. But we'll get to that. The album title is certainly not misleading because it has that, but I'm not sure things are as hell and heaven as you would think they were going to be. The depth of this is not that deep. It's a little cliche, and I think when it comes to Zac Brown, there is always a little cliche.
Yeah.
Because it sells. Zac Brown is an entertainer, and the music is mostly put forth with 85% of the mojo being placed there. And it works. On Love and Fear, the formula remains. But as always, it's tampered with, more so this time, by 25% of the inclusion of other people. All right. So, damn.
Well, I was really interested out of all of them. This week, I was interested in what you were going to say because I know you're not a typical country kind of guy.
In your hand. Don't be a passenger on your own ride. Remember, you can always drive. No need to let the road decide where you're going in this life, I swear. Your heart will lead you somewhere real, but you gotta take the wheel.
But
this is not typical kind of country. Technically, he's never been that typical country guy.
I know, and that's why I had some high hopes for this. But I know what you're alluding to as far as some of those things that they shove into their albums, like Chicken Fried, and nobody wants to hear that thing. I just feel like I'm at a Sabres game and we're trying to divert our attention from the fact that we're losing. So I don't know what that song is all about, but he's
look over here where we're getting ass whooped.
He's also a trained chef. Did you know that?
Oh, I didn't know that. No.
Yeah. And he's the 11th of 12 children.
Oh.
So you get ignored a lot. So maybe that's why you're so into music, because your parents aren't paying any attention to you. And he was a camp counselor. I love that. He's collaborated, like what you said. He's not typical country. And his reach, his influences, when you've got like Bob Marley, but then there's the normal ones like the Eagles and James Taylor and stuff. But I mean, he's collaborated with Chris Cornell of Soundgarden. And then, DJ Avicii guy, like that's kind of like, that's very, very eclectic, I think, in what his tastes and what his influences and what he likes. And maybe that's why their albums aren't just the normal country, right? And I'd say that their lyrics are deeper than most country, but yes, cliche. So they're not at the level of Ed Harcourt's lyrics, but they try a little harder, I think. There's more self-awareness, personal reflection, and sometimes it does become cliche if you aren't the poet you should be. So you
spread it on a little thick.
Yeah. But his audience probably likes that. I would think that, because they're just listening normally to bands talking about, got to go out and shoot my dog because it's sick and I better have an extra 6-pack of beer. Not that I'm saying anything bad with that, because I'd like to have a 6-pack of beer right now. But my favorite song on this whole album, every single time it came on, I cried without even knowing that it subliminally, as I was listening, just would creep in there. And I would have the same emotion every single time I heard it. And it was Butterfly. That was my favorite one. And I liked a few of the other songs, but that's the one that just kept touching my heart a little bit. And I thought it was a good album for Zac Brown. But nothing unexpected, really. Was it for you?
No. And I have a multiplicity of his records. This is 8, maybe? 8
Okay.
records?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Is that the band that did the broken road that led me to you? No, that was somebody else.
That's somebody else.
Okay.
Otherwise it doesn't stick to my. I remember his album covers. They're always,
Okay. Okay.
that's
Yeah.
the owl and those things. Um,
Uh-huh.
he always has something on there that he finds while Ed Harcourt's album is completely profound in most cases, he finds profundity in one particular track, maybe, or where that's gonna pour the soul, right? And that's the great part about this band, is that there's a soulfulness to the country aspect of it. And then they just decide what songs they're going to do, and they have fun with it. And I think, like I said, strictly entertainment. If later on, I'm going to talk about the same two things, but I'm going to say it again. James Patterson and Tom Clancy. All right, when you have a formula, just stick to it, and anybody else can write your shit, and it works. And it works. That's what works here. Now, I state that it's the same thing that Deb does, with that cliche, but it works. The camaraderie of the band is very tight. They know how to make something happen. They know how to make something overly happen too, which is problematic to me. Okay, so you add in Dolly.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to figure out whether her vocal is actually there or it was produced, from a standpoint.
Yeah.
Right? And we're going to get into that in our Christmas one next year.
Okay.
About things. They're if they would have been in the room together, were they in the room together?
Yeah.
It doesn't work. I don't know if it really does, but all right. So everybody's got a Christmas present. Everybody's got a wish list. How do I say this? Yeah. There are those things you do before you die, right? The top 10 things you need to do before you die.
Well, give it to me. I need to know.
And
I gotta get on it.
at number 1 is to record a track with Snoop Dogg. All right, no matter who the fuck you are. Mozart is like, I want to do a thing with Dog. Like, what? Oh, God. It's not bad, but it has no meaning, no point, no nothing.
I know. It was weird. I thought it was a joke.
Yeah. So when you put this album on, just let that motherfucker run. All right, now we're gonna go to a place that's dangerous, in my opinion, in the music world. This is Samaya, I believe.
Yeah.
Bloodless. Okay. First of all, I don't know who shot your cover, or you decide on your cover. You put it in focus or something. I like the whites of your eyes, but I think you're running from somebody, like an alligator in a lake.
David Lynch story.
Yeah, this has got this vampire kind of thing going on. Yes, I think there's an idea of that in this lyrical content.
Oh.
But when it comes to the indie folk, well, I guess I'll add pop into it, because that's kind of what's crept into most of the popularities of this. No one's the true indie folk anymore. There are some champions in the industry, and I'll not mention them for a moment. But one of them is a champion that crossed a genre and then truly kind of made 2 of the best albums in my estimation. But I'm not completely sold that it was all her doing. That's right. When you're the queen, and you can pretty much suck anyone into your vortex, like a Patterson and Clancy novel. They're just going to throw storylines at you and stuff, and they're going to want to come on your album and do these things, and you're going to make the puppets dance. So what's happening here is this indie folk pop rock that leans a bit more dreamy. Now, when I say dreamy, everyone always thinks about the pink bedroom and the lady, the girl there. She's got it's all nice bedroom. This is dreamy. That's looks like the goddamn album cover. All right, this is the dreamy we're talking about.
I always look for the craziest person in the room. Sit down with the craziest person in the room. I'd rather be part of something awful than lie about having fun with you. Or maybe makes me the second craziest person in the room. I'd rather hear someone else's problems than worry about what I'm supposed to do.
Dangerously find ourselves comparing rather than listening to this album for me.
Okay.
All right. This is the comparisons to the Lana Del Rey's, the Phoebe Bridgers, the who's the other one I'm thinking of? There's a cornucopia of these, and they're sucking the well dry. All right. When I listen to Lana Del Rey, I'm 53 years old. I'm pretty much thinking that if I'm listening to her album, most people are creeped out that I'm even listening, because I don't understand a word that's coming out of her mouth, because I don't live in the tennis environment of what's under this road or the secret societies. I don't wear a black towel over my head and worship I don't know, some gargoyle. But obviously I don't know that that's true, but I'm just having fun.
Happy Sunday.
Yeah, this is an album heavily closed and dosed in personality finding, the attempt to find oneself and your position, and that's heavy, but it's only heavy for a while.
Yeah.
Right. Bovine Excision. All right. When you see a title like that on an album, it should probably be on an album that we're going to talk about in a little bit, not on an indie folk record. So I was really kind of thinking, that's that exactly telling us what's going on, a bloodletting. So, damn.
Oh my God. Well, maybe this little tidbit will make you feel a little bit more connected as to what she's trying to do, but obviously this connection wasn't in the same vein, but
look at you, clever.
Oh, look at that, was my mistake.
I must be rubbing off on you.
I'm not even that clever. Look at that. She's the daughter of Kathy Najimy. Is that how you say her name? She was in Hocus Pocus.
Yes.
She played a witch. Yes.
Okay.
And her dad.
It's hard to see the resemblance when it's that out of focus. And now watch, that's not even her on the cover.
I know. Her dad, though.
Taylor Swift.
That's Taylor. Eras. Her dad, which cracks me up every time I see this clip in either The Hangover or Old School. He is Dan Finnerty, the Dan band, the joke band that's at the end of The Hangover, where they're dancing at the wedding and he's talking about banging his wife. That's her dad.
Shit.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? I love that. Crazy. And you know where she discovered music, Mark? Really, really discovered it?
Like the lake? No.
The dollar
like Consequence.
In the dollar bin. Just like you.
She's like me.
Library. Right. Dollar bin. So you know what? You got to have something, a little connection there. And the other thing that I think is interesting about her is she moved from California to Montana just for her boyfriend. Now that's love.
Yeah, there's no recording studio in Montana.
No, and it's cold. And there's no surfing. But her inspiration has been poetry throughout her whole life. She says that Father John Misty is one of her influences.
Yep. I get that.
You can kind of feel that, but Fiona Apple, whatever. I felt like there was some profundity here, but there wasn't a cohesiveness about it. There wasn't like a theme of where I go, oh, there's self-exploration here. It seemed like intentionally placed to make it feel like the whole album was like that, but it wasn't. I have to say that two of the songs gave me a connection to somebody that I really, really super love. Hole in a Frame and Lizard had a Natalie Merchant feel to me. And I love Natalie Merchant. And I felt that her voice was a little bit more controlled, but still, how Natalie does that thing to put a little emotion into it where it's controlled, but it's not really controlled on purpose. So in that sense, I felt that the album for me was pleasant. And I mean, I've not listened to anything else that she's done. And I did like the acoustic on Proof, I think it was. Was there a song
Hmm.
named Proof? Yeah. But all in all, I'm not sure where I stand on her as an artist because I don't have anything else to judge it against as far as what she's done in the past.
Right. Well, there is past to go back to, obviously. In
Okay.
that. So, she's had a long time collaborator on doing these records, so it fits. Um, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I just this
Okay.
is a dangerous genre
Hmm.
to be in as a female because
Yeah.
you're the people we mentioned are the people you're going to get compared to, and you're going to
Yeah.
get mutilated by too because you got to find your position, your place, and um,
Yeah. The bar is high.
maybe right here in this record, maybe my problem is it's my problem really. Uh, she she needs a hit. I
Hmm.
don't feel that there's a hit on the record.
Okay, that I totally agree with that.
Uh,
That's where I'm coming from. Like, I think she's got a lot of talent and promise, but
mhm.
how is she going to hook the people that are going
How
to
do you
be
hook? Yeah,
paying?
I think that's one of the overall things I didn't get the hook thing. I got all the emotional depth,
Hmm.
the stripped back ideas, the folk and country sensibilities. They're all really well done. She fits right in the genre that we're talking about, but you need to um, find something a little bit your own voice. I don't
Yeah.
know. I just
Yeah.
anyway, all right. So extras, right? That's where we're at now.
Yeah. Here we go.
All right. So we're gonna start off with somber.
Okay.
It's not spelled that way.
But
I
I know
barely
why.
know her. Okay.
Hmm.
So it's that breakup album kind of thing. Okay. So let's start here. Let's let this newbie understand something before we go any further. You don't plug your ears on your own album cover. All right. It's not a good look. Is that a statement
That's
or a
so
warning?
I knew when I looked at that, I go, I'm not even going to talk about it. He's going to.
Turns out for me, it's a little bit of both. So, all right, blended wines. If you use too many, what identity do you really have?
Hmm.
All right, that's the overall truth, no matter what. Okay, and Deb knows because one time we were at a winery and
Oh
we got to
no.
blend our own, and we were blending all and throwing stuff into the spittoon thing in the middle.
Yeah.
And everybody bottled their own little wine. And I said to the person came back and go, the spittoon, yeah, bottle that. And the person looked at me like I had 7 heads. And I said, nope, we're going to do that. We're going to call it backwash red. And turns out I thought that was better than anything we all produced. But, everybody needs a little spit and a little vinegar and a little in there to make it work. All right. But it's a mess. All right. I'm not
Yeah.
saying this is a mess, but there's just too much. We got pop, we got indie rock, we got pop
Yeah.
rock, we got 80s slick bullshit and reverb. Oh my God, reverb.
Yeah.
Man, just you know what? You know what he should have done? He should have just got Snoop Dogg and done some pot. And no, it's ear plugging overuse. I'm okay with a heartbreak album, all right, but your voice should be naturally broken and angered, or bitter, or sinister.
Yeah.
In this case, it's this borderline fab boy cutesy kind of thing going on, like he's in that dream pop room that's pink. Um, I like my heartbreak driven and ground. Even if it's Ed Sheeran, or Belinda Carlisle, Ryan Adams, not Brian Adams, Ryan Adams. Yes, harmony on the album, nice.
Yeah.
That's a great saving point. Makes me think, you know, you know what it is? It's 12 by 12, baby. That's the only promise I saw here. That song,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
that's the one. And Mr.
We got it.
Booze, thank God he changed his name to Somber. Maybe he should have called it Drunker. It's steeped in too much to be natural.
Yeah.
Damn.
Hmm. Well, his name Somber comes from his initials. His
Oh,
initials are SMB. Um, Not that I know exactly how he came about that, but he wanted something that,
shouldn't you be right in there with him with damn?
yeah, and we got stories, Mr. Somber. But anyway, he went to LaGuardia High School that inspired fame. So isn't that an interesting little tidbit? But
I didn't know
maybe,
LaGuardia had anything but an airport. So yeah, it's cool.
well, LaGuardia High School,
Look it up.
high school, yeah, look it up. He writes and self-produces, I guess, but he says he's a skater kid. And you can feel skater kid in some of these songs. I think that the opening song, Crushing, um, I like the piano and I like the guitar. I thought it was an interesting combo, but I have to agree out of all the songs, 12, was it 12 to 12 or 12
Oh,
by
did I
12?
say 12 by 12? Yeah. I have this
I think it's
obsession with
12 to 12.
yeah.
Don't want anyone else. On the hours of 12 to 12. I'm not the least compelled by anyone but yourself. Tricking me and makes me melt.
It's 12 to
Yeah,
12. Sorry.
yeah.
Yes.
It's well, I have a note here, so I'm kind of surprised that you mentioned that song because it's got a groovy disco influence, and we know
Mhm.
how our host feels about disco. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of shocked a little bit. His influences, I mean, if he went to, LaGuardia High School and inspiration of fame, and he was somebody that was looking towards a musical career, he has a wide variety, the Stones, Radiohead, Velvet Underground, Jeff Buckley, Bon Iver, Tame Impala, I mean, you can see, but that's maybe why this album has too many things all over the place
Mm.
instead of just picking what you're going to go for yourself. And the one song that was just kept, I guess, interrupting how I was listening to the rest of the album was Come Closer. That had that Foster the People, all of the kids,
Foster the
Columbine
people.
song.
Yeah, yeah, I
And
get
I
it.
kept hearing, that song, I always loved that Foster the People song until somebody went, that's about Columbine.
Yeah.
So when I heard this song, I went, ooh. And I kind of felt a little like, am I really supposed to like that song, even though I like the Foster the People song? So yeah, I agree with your assessment, Mark. And how many albums has Somber had?
This is the debut. That's why I
Is
said,
it the debut?
yeah,
Oh,
this
you
is your
did say it was a
debut.
debut.
So don't plug your
Okay.
ears on your own debut album.
Okay, yeah. I should open my ears so I listen to you. Okay. So that's what I got to say about Somber. Let's put that number 2 is better because he's talented.
Yeah, I understand the position, what people are kind of
Hmm.
thinking of. I went and saw another artist earlier this year, and I was drawn, and I know why. But in those other albums prior, this is not his first album, this individual. But yeah, the minute I heard this, I'm like,
Okay.
okay, that's the Bruce Springsteen kind of thing, and I like that, But now
Yeah,
bring it to yourself, and he did.
true. Okay.
This is something he's going to have to work on, I think, is to maybe leave a genre or two out, or a sound
Yeah, it's
out.
confusing.
Yeah,
Confusing.
yeah.
All right.
Miss Emily, please stand
Mm.
up. Please stand. No. So she calls herself Miss Emily,
Yeah.
and the name of the album is The Medicine. Okay, so probably a lesser known. You think? And people will wonder why and how. How did this even come to be?
Okay.
I'm a huge fan of Colin Linden, and that's unusual too because that's a folk kind of Canada
Yes.
individual,
Yeah.
producer, singer,
Uh-huh.
songwriter, and of course, a part of one of my favorite blues alt country bands, Blackie and the Rodeo Kings. So I'm thinking if he's involved
Yes.
in something, better giddy up. What I didn't realize is that I was going to fall into some blues album. With the
Mhm.
little R&B swagger here and there.
So real, and then you believe it. You make believe, yeah, you full out conceive it. I could be so much more, something you needed.
So I'm going to pitch it right over to Dam. So
Oh,
you can
okay.
start because I'm wondering, I'm let her lead this and then I'll see where I go from there.
Well, Miss Emily, I like that name once I heard the album because, it's kind of a Southern thing, even though she is from Canada, but to call people by Miss Emily, it's an endearing term for somebody of um the matriarchy, maybe somebody that commands respect, and instead of just calling them Miss Maloney or Miss Hicks or Miss Armitage or Miss Dam, but how about Miss Deb? I have lots
Yeah.
of people call me Miss Deb. So Miss Emily, I love that. Um, she's from Prince Edward Island, but she has adopted her new home in Kingston, Ontario. And so, what's the law? You gotta, have your influences to be the Tragically Hip. She toured with the Tragically Hip. She opened for them, I think. Maybe not
Yes.
toured. She opened for the Trues.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not surprised to find out that her influences are like Ray Charles, Aretha Franklin, Carole King. Tapestry specifically, she said, shaped the way that she wanted to deliver music, write music, maybe not in the same vein, but the way it feels to the audience. Okay. So her first performance at age 4 was in a church, and she sang the story from a coloring book and got a standing ovation.
Wow.
So if you can do that and get somebody to feel something from a coloring book, music was in her blood, I really think.
Yeah.
And her lyrics are very soulful. That's the Aretha and the Ray Charles thing, but the blues, like you said, Smith's Bay Drowning had that Delta blues sound. It was, not just the generic Robert Johnson blues, the thing that everybody tries to copy. Remember the song, the guitar was amazing. Solid ground, soulful, slow. The lyrics were awesome. I just found this album where I went, people need to listen to our host about Canadian bands and Canadian influences. And you normally don't let me down, and you didn't let me down by letting me listen to this. I maybe am overpraising it, but she just sang to me because of what I love to hear and who I'm influenced by. So I thought it was really good.
The word would be and I'm bad with this, so if I say it wrong, we'll go
Okay.
away. A chartreuse,
Chartreuse.
chartreuse.
Mm-hmm.
Like a conjurer, someone you listen to deeply. And she has that vocal. Her vocal is not completely and utterly astounding,
Right.
but I will liken her to the delivery and path and storytelling ability of Beth Hart.
Yes.
Okay. Just not
Yes.
overpowering, right? So obviously, I don't think Miss Emily should get into hardcore drugs and nearly die in order to find that
No.
position because it's a lovely record. It's really well put together. Obviously, Colin
Lovely
Lindsay.
is a good word. Lovely is a good word.
And it is not going to disturb you. It's not going to wreck your stereo system with different types of blues. I what was the word you used? Lovely? No.
No, you said lovely, and I reiterated lovely. How
Yeah, I
about
was trying to think. You said something about it. It's that record that you can put on and be, you know,
yeah,
it's
it's
just well
slowful, it's
done.
slow. It's just
Mhm.
it's user friendly.
Yes, yeah, and it's something that's necessary in the music multiverse.
Absolutely.
I believe that there are times in positions and places where you don't need to be listening that hard and that deeply. Just let
Yeah.
it happen. It's a very smooth record. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, the profundity, it's subtle, but it's still there. The
Yeah.
songs are emotional, but they're not, you're not beaten over the head. You're not, you know, yeah, I thought the record was really well done. I was hoping so because I knew that she had opened for many people.
Yeah.
I was kind of caught off guard that I hadn't known who she was.
Well, I was going to ask you how many albums has she had?
I
Because
don't
I
know. I
mean,
didn't look. I
the
didn't have
tr
time to. It's been a bad week.
and
So
the hip, I mean, if she opened for the hip, I mean, we got to go back a ways too. So this isn't some 18-year-old or anything, right?
no,
Like,
no.
yeah.
And I'm pretty
And
sure she's been. I don't know if she's sang with the band or not. In some, there's a possibility
mm,
that one of these festivals or something of that nature, her vocal is in a live recording where she's a background vocalist, like much like who's the other one they've had on there in their background? God, I'm forgetting people's names. See what's happening?
oh
But
no.
yeah, there's Canadians that are very famous female Canadian songwriters and singers that have worked with the hip. But this is not one that's not famous in any way, shape, or form. In
Yeah, I know.
Canada, possibly, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But not here. We do not know who this is, and I think she should get a little pick me up. I think
A little love. She should come here. We'll go see her.
yeah,
Right?
would certainly go. Absolutely.
I miss Emily.
Absolutely. So we'll go from peaceful and tranquil blues and soul that has that mindset of like a comfortability, a vacation album you would put on maybe.
Oh,
All right,
really?
and then we're gonna go to yoga of a different sort. Think of yourself listening to Alice in Chains without lyrics.
Yeah.
Um, Potentially a little bit of Sabbath, Tool, Cosmic Atmosphere, and of course, maybe Snoop Dogg handed you a bit of a joint that had purposes that weren't normal
Uh,
and darker normal. Maybe
yeah.
much like the cover of Samaya's record, and
Maybe
you
they're
might have an
chicken.
idea of A Dark Place by the band Maha Sahona. I don't know how they say it. It's Maha Sahona.
I think so.
And I don't think they wanted my Sharona. I don't think there was any playful. I don't even know. It's
No.
interesting to me. Maha Sahona.
I know what it is. I'll tell you later.
Okay, so Swedish, right?
Really?
Okay.
Surprising.
I like my stoner doom in Sweden. I
I know you
like my
do.
metal in Sweden. Hey, Sweden's got a lot of things going on over there besides blonde ladies. Okay. Um, or is that Switzerland? I don't remember.
They're
So
all blonde up there.
it's
There's no sun.
it's moody, intimate, but it's a dark intimacy. It's
Yeah.
I don't know. It is by far heavy but slow. It's not sludge, but it gets there. I like it. It's got an atmospheric doomy quality to it, blended. You got your riffs, but they're not like earth-shattering riffs that are going to bury you in anger, or it's kind of immersive. It's kind of trippy. But the one thing I love about this is the idea of like stoner yoga. Damn.
Oh my God. I was a yoga instructor. This would not have worked for any class that I was teaching, but okay.
I don't know. There's
I'm
a lot of downward dog in this. I don't.
there really is. Well, I'm not surprised they're Swedish. But their name, Mark, it is a feared demon or god in Sri Lankan folklore. Okay, that's crazy weird.
Sri Lanka
Sri
has
Lankan.
folklore. Nice.
Yes.
Good to
So,
know. Good to
I'm
know.
surprised you didn't know that off the
No,
cuff. I'm so
I'm
disappointed.
really dogging my Sri Lankan folklore.
But your references to Alice in Chains and Tool and all of that, yeah. The one thing that I read about the band, because there was, these bands that come from the dark places of the earth, there's not a lot of fun facts because it's not fun there. So I could not find anything other than they've been described as presenting music as a cathedral-sized fuzz wall.
Oh, I like that. That is good. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if I was going to say that, but with what you had just talked about, I go, that's probably fitting. Um, this is an album that it's not in everybody knows that watches this, all four of you, like Mark says. It's not in my wheelhouse. I couldn't get into it. I really enjoyed what on whatever scale or level the other five albums this week. When that happens, it's hard for me to find something in the one album that I don't enjoy. Anything that I can keep listening to and expound upon. So I did listen 2 times. That was enough for me. I just wrote 3 songs down that did not totally make me change the channel, so to speak, but it was Visions, Long Way Home.
Long way home.
Yeah. Is that what? Yeah. And Austera? Is that one of them?
That's what I would call it. I mean,
Yeah.
the album
So
runs completely together. It's not.
yeah, it
a
does.
piece
It's hard.
that-
Yes. If you're not totally paying attention to what you're listening to on a mission to
Mhm.
do what we do, yes, it does. It all flows together. If you're like I do when I start out with these, I'm at work and I try by the end of the week to just devote to that particular album to get more nuances and more details. But this one, I didn't do that at the end of my week because I didn't
Yeah.
like it at all. So
So
there's
if
my
you think
thing.
about it, think about it. What I said: the Sabbath, the Tool, the Elder, the Alice in Chains, the Clutch. But when you do these things,
Yeah.
this album is not the. It's more melancholy in its madness.
Yes.
Where it's not where most albums for instance, if you're watching our album top 25 albums of 25, we had Coroner, Dissonance Theory
Yeah.
at number 20, I believe, and that's Anchor and Crashing and
Sure.
yes, and you're finally out of the the slab you were in the coroner's office. But yeah, this is a little bit more of the trippier aspects of
Yeah.
stoner rock, mood and intimacy. But remember, it could be an interesting yoga class.
Well, they have goat yoga where you have little cute goats, and you got puppy yoga and all that. I'm afraid what demon from Sri Lanka would be crawling on me when I'm doing yoga.
Demon Sri Lanka yoga. Join us this Sunday. I'll thank Dan for doing this on a Sunday. We're late. I haven't been feeling
All good.
What do you think of these albums? Are you a fan of the bands? Did you even know who Miss Elliott wrong person, Miss Emily was? Are you going to check it out? Let us know which of these 2025 albums today might be changing your list. Again, I'll get you in a little secret. I'm at number 18 today, I believe, and the list can change as it gets close to the end. I don't give it all away, just in case.
Mhm.
I thought the year ain't over. So we got another one. And so we're going to let the fat man sing next week. There will be no article version. All of the albums on this week's Saturday will be Christmas albums from this year. And
Oh my God,
I
Mark.
have to talk to Deb on the side because there's another Christmas album that dropped that I think we're going to add.
Okay.
So, but anyway, after that, we're on the web at beyondyourradio.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, of course, articles, videos, podcasts. Well, we'll get to that. All about music, albums, bands, artists, anything we can get our hands on. Go Beyond Your Radio with us, a real music appreciation channel. Thanks for watching. Happy listening.